Anything else you're excited about?
I'm excited in my pants.
I'm excited, Weekend Trav, that this is the true episode 99 of Weighing In with Travis Hartman. I am B-Money, the producer. That over there is Weekend Trav. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, last week we did post something. We were in the middle of a little thing called Hurricane Ian and prepping and also scheduling, yada, yada, yada. So sorry for the confusion, but this is the clarification, Weekend Trav. This is episode 99 of the #1 Beards, Bourbon, and Boxing podcast, shot in Orlando, Florida, specifically Laureate Park, specifically in a boxing gym, specifically in the podcast studio of said boxing gym, shot on a Sunday or Monday. Today is Sunday, dropping on
Wednesday morning, 7:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
In the world. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for our subscriber base. We appreciate you. If you're not yet subscribing, please do so below. If you're following us on YouTube or Rumble, hit the thumb up if you like the video. Subscribe to us. Also on YouTube, there's the bell icon if you want to be notified next time we drop some new content. But also for our audio listeners on Spotify, iHeartRadio, and the like, all the different audio sources, we are there for those needs too. But everything drops on Wednesday. So Weekend Trav, episode 99 today. We got some stuff to run through unboxing. And then we have to highlight what's coming up next week, which is the big centennial mark for us.
Big 100. When we first started this, did you ever think we'd have 100 episodes?
No. If you could do anything 100 times, that's pretty incredible. And I'm not talking about just breathing. I'm not talking about, well,
that's still pretty incredible too, because you're alive.
When you think about that. I wasn't going to a sexual reference, but yeah, I know that's where your mind immediately went.
How do you know that?
Because I've done these things with you for almost 100 episodes. So this is episode 99, ladies and gentlemen. But let's jump right in. Weekend Trav, I want to talk about the calendar because there's a bunch of stuff coming up over not only this weekend, but next weekend as well. And so we want to highlight some of these things. But first, we're going to start on the 8th. October 8th, which is this coming Saturday, 2 matchups we want to highlight, and then we'll move on to next weekend and talk a little bit. But first and foremost, your boy, who you think is one of the next big things, that's Sebastian Fundor taking on Carlos Ocampo on Showtime. Weekend Trav, this is for the WBC Interim 154 title, and go.
It was a year ago, I believe we did like an upcomer or some kind of like prospect of the year or somebody to look out for. And guess who I chose? I chose Sebastian Fundor. Turns out I was pretty close to being accurate because now he's undefeated. He knocked out Erickson Lubin, which I never thought. Did I think he was going to win that fight? Possibly, yes, but I did not think he would win the way he won that fight. So he's huge. I think the kid's like 6'6", 154 pounds. He's like tall, lanky. And come to find out, he's actually got a really pretty solid chin as well. Yeah. Because Lubin put him down, and he got back up and finished him off. So I think it's a good fight. Sebastian Fundor versus Carlos Ocampo. Ocampo is going to be a very, very tough test. I believe he's only got 1 loss, or he might be undefeated. I can't remember for sure. But it's definitely a WBC interim super welterweight title. So it's going to put him in position to fight for a world title, which I predicted about a year ago. I said that he'd get a world title within a couple of years, and you got that gnat that we've been trying to get for a while.
We've been following.
Oh my gosh!
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you, but during pre-production, we were chasing this gnat down, and I finally got it because he was drawn to the bourbon, and I finally squished him.
Good job.
Sorry, keep on going.
I was literally done. Okay. Fundor Ocampo. It's for the WBC interim welterweight title.
Big time. And you know what? I'm impressed by this kid. You mentioned his body frame and everything else, but frankly, he has more power than I thought somebody that tall and lanky would have.
He's super skinny.
Very interesting and tough matchup for anybody just because of the body frame. Trying to get, kind of inside of his zone. And it's just hard to strike with that guy if he can keep you on the outside. Also coming up on this Saturday on the 8th, Weekend Travel. We have Chris Eubank Jr. taking on Connor BENN. That should be on DAZN. Give us a little rundown on that because I think their fathers actually have history with one another.
They do, and this is a fight that we really haven't talked about a lot because personally, I didn't think it was going to end up happening. And and the reason why is Eubank Jr. is a 168-pounder. He's a super middleweight. That's where he fights at. Connor BENN is 147. So when they made this fight, they did like a catch weight. I think it's like 158 or 157, something crazy.
Sure.
If you've ever seen Chris Eubank Jr., this dude doesn't have an ounce of fat on him.
Yeah.
So that's why we're going to preview it because it's supposed to happen, but I still have just a weird inkling that it's not going to happen. And the reason why I don't think it's going to happen either is because Chris Eubank Jr., his dad is Chris Eubank Sr., right? Has not participated in this entire training camp because he doesn't want the fight to happen because it's too less of weight. But the cool part about it is you're right. Connor BENN, his dad is Nigel BENN, and Chris Eubank Jr.'s dad, used to fight back in the day. They fought twice. One was a draw, one was a knockout. So it's kind of historic in that regard, where their dads were world contenders, world champions at middleweight, I believe, and now their two sons are fighting, which is kind of cool, which is the whole advertising. It's why they're doing the fight over in England, is because they're both big names. Conor Benn is a really good welterweight.
Sure.
Eubank Jr. is a really good middleweight, super middleweight. However, I don't know how he's going to make that weight. And I still don't see the fight happening because of that. If it does happen, I think Eubank Jr. is going to come in overweight somehow. And I think if he does make weight, no chance he can win. If he makes that weight, I think he's going to be so weight drained and so just he's going to have nothing left that I don't think he's going to win it because of that. But if it happens, it happens. It's actually a pretty kind of historic fight because of their fathers and now because of the sons. They're both very, very good fighters. So it could be a cool fight. It's on DAZN. It's in England, so we'll see it during the afternoon, which would be kind of cool. And then that night, we'll get to watch Showtime.
Yeah, so I guess by the time this episode drops on Wednesday morning, we'll probably have a little more clarification of that. Obviously, the fight happening on Saturday for us in the States, Saturday morning or Saturday morning or afternoonish.
It's usually afternoonish.
Yeah. So I guess maybe by the time this drops, there could be some clarification there whether or not this fight happens. I know Chris Eubank for a little while was trying to throw his name into the kind of the Jake Paul ring, the Jake Paul circus for a little while until it was announced that he's taking on Anderson Silva at the end of this month. Plenty of weeks before that. We'll talk about that as the month wanes on a little bit. But that's all coming to you right now this Saturday on the 8th. But Weekend Trap, because we got a lot going on. And because episode 100, we have some surprises and things that we want to do for next week's episode. We want to highlight some of the matchups coming up on the 15th of October. We'll talk a little more in depth on a couple of them, but that'll leave us some time next week to talk in depth on a couple of the others. So give me a second here because there's a big rundown. First and foremost, the rematch, Devin Haney taking on George Kambosos. That is coming to you from ESPN. I believe that'll be in the morning because it's taking place down in Australia.
Sure. And they're 15 hours ahead of us, I believe.
Yeah, so it'll be a weird time zone, a pre-lunch sort of thing. That's coming up on the 15th, so that's going to be a rematch for all those belts.
Undisputed lightweight title. Undisputed, baby.
Yep, so we have also Deontay Wilder back in action, taking on Robert Helenius. That's on pay-per-view. I couldn't find the source on that, on which pay-per-view source that is.
It should be a Showtime pay-per-view or CBS, one of those affiliates, because he's with them.
So a good heavyweight, qualifier matchup there. There's a lot of names being thrown in that hat now on the heavyweight side of things. Deontay Wilder is very much active again, so we will see how that goes. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I saw who's going to be in attendance for that fight. Actually, the heavyweight champ himself, Usyk, is going to be live in attendance at that matchup. Just as a heads up.
He is now saying that he wants to fight Deontay Wilder instead.
He just wants to fight somebody who's willing not to duck him. So that's also on the 15th. Weekend Trav. And these are the two events that I'm going to pick your brain a little bit more. We talked about the women's fights coming up before. Those fights were updated because the Queen passed away. But let's get back into it. Now rescheduled for this month on the 15th. Come to us on ESPN Plus. And that's going to be two headliner fights. Number one, Michaela MAYER taking on Alicia Baumgardner. And then secondly, in the bad blood matchup, Claressa Shields taking on Savannah Marshall. Weekend Trav. Give us your thoughts on both of these matchups here for the women.
They're very interesting matchups. And like we said, we previously talked about when we did a lead up to this before it was postponed because of the Queen's death. Rest in peace, Queen. Claressa Shields and Savannah Marshall is a very good fight. They both fought in the amateurs years ago. Savannah Marshall beat her, but it was literally I think it was 8-something years ago. It was 5+ years ago for sure. So fight doesn't really, it gets thrown out the door for that fact.
It's a fighter's lifetime ago, really.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't really, I don't think it has any relevance in today's.
I mean, how many gold medals ago was that? That was a while ago.
Yeah, Claressa Shields had 2 gold medals.
Yeah.
So it's, even though Savannah Marshall owns the head-to-head 1-0, I don't think it's going to play a massive part in this fight. Savannah Marshall, bigger puncher, of course we know this. She's also a lot rangier, what I call it, longer arms, all of that. So if she plays that into her strengths, she could do very well if she keeps Claressa Shields on the outside. However, Claressa Shields is a great boxer. She's super fast. She's super talented. She is very aggressive, and she tries to be. She tries for knockouts. She just doesn't have that pop and that power to knock people out.
Right.
So that's why I will put this prediction out there. I don't think we're going to see a knockout. I don't. Not at all. I think this fight goes the distance 100% for sure because, one, Clarissa Shields goes the distance with a lot of girls who are nowhere near at the level of a Savannah Marshall. So I think this fight's going the distance for sure.
So that probably leans towards Clarissa Shields' favor then, I would imagine, because I don't think the gas tank is as strong for someone like a Savannah Marshall. However, I haven't checked the updates on Vegas odds for them as the fight changed dates, but I know leading into that, there was kind of a split favor. There was no, unsung favorite on that.
It wasn't a huge favorite.
I think they were both going at minus 110s, which is kind of odd. So I haven't checked the latest, but I think you're right. If it goes the distance weekend, Trav, that could be a problem for one Savannah Marshall, whereas Clarissa Shields, that's the way she fights. She makes it seem like she's something else in the ring, but in reality, she just outlasts her opponents and kind of smothers them a bit, and that's that. But this is going to be different. This is going against somebody that has quite a bit of talent, okay, and is very dangerous in her own right. So I could see this weekend, Trav, maybe going deep, but getting one of those TKOs. I could see it for a Savannah Marshall. I think either way, you're looking at either a TKO Savannah Marshall or going the distance Clarissa Shields, one of those two options.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of insight on the Savannah Marshall because Savannah Marshall fought a girl that I trained.
Sure.
We took her over to England, Newcastle, England. We fought on DAZN, Ashley Curry. And the reason I bring it up is because Ashley Curry has now fought Savannah Marshall, but she also fought this girl named Francon Dezern Cruz, who her only loss was to Clarissa Shields.
Yes.
So my girl has fought two people that have a similar instance in here. So my girl fought Francon Cruz. Mm-hmm. She trained with me for about 3 weeks, went the distance with Francon, 8-rounder.
Yep.
But then we only had like 3-4 days notice when we fought Savannah Marshall and ended in the second round. But what I can tell you is nobody stops Ashley Curry, which is my girl, and Savannah Marshall did.
Yeah.
Okay, I threw the towel in on that fight, but I remember after the fight talking with Ashley Curry because I knew that she wasn't ready for this. So that's why I threw the towel in pretty early.
Yeah.
But I talked to Ashley afterwards. Ashley was like, Travis, she hits really hard. And I could tell. I think she had some hurt ribs after that, things like that. So I can tell you that Savannah Marshall, her power is real. It's legit because Ashley Curry was a smaller person coming up, but she also went the distance with Francon Cruz, who's a world champion.
Correct.
At her weight class now. So I believe that Savannah Marshall's power is real. But I also believe that Clarissa Shields is also real. The girl's got a chin. She can fight. She's got talent. She's got the confidence, obviously the confidence. She's a very confident person. But I think you're right. I think only how Savannah Marshall does win this fight is if she stops Clarissa Shields.
I think it's going to be a battle of wills here and emotions. So whoever controls the emotions of the fight wins. And as of right now, leading into it so far, I feel like Savannah Marshall kind of has the upper hand on the emotional side of this, whereas we've seen Clarissa Shields be very emotional in a lot of these pressers leading up to it.
Yep.
So we shall see. Let's move on to the other.
Well, I also want to say one thing.
Sure.
I think I just thought of this, but I'm pretty sure that I'm going to go ahead and root for Clarissa Shields because I'm a little bit butthurt about Savannah Marshall. And I'll tell you why. Savannah Marshall used to follow me on Instagram. I think she found out that I was married happily and have a child now because she unfollowed me. So,
wow.
Savannah Marshall, I'm rooting for Clarissa Shields, not only because she's USA, because you unfollowed me on Instagram. We're in a world right now where that matters. And Savannah Marshall used to follow me. And now I'm a little upset because she unfollowed me.
For somebody that's so mentally strong, a mental champion, something like that shouldn't bother you, Weekend Trav.
It doesn't, but I thought it was relevant to bring up because I remember this happening because she followed me.
Maybe she
cool.
only followed you because you were the trainer for Ashley Curry.
She did. I feel like she gave me some googly eyes when we were over there, and then she followed me, and then she found out.
I'm not thinking that that's her ball field, buddy.
I'm just kidding around, guys. No.
Okay.
But that really did happen though. She did follow me. And
I'm
a year later,
I'm going to take the Savannah Marshall side of that because I would like to see her win and inject a little humility into Clarissa Shields. So, unfortunately, when I get emotional on my pick, that's when I'm wrong. So, chances are you're going to be right.
I told you, don't pick on emotions. I failed that multiple times.
And that's when I don't do well with that either. So, that being said, anyways, if these cameras go out, then it's just because the batteries are old. But anyways.
They look beautiful.
I charge them. So, Weekend Trav. We got that, but the co-main event on this one, Michaela MAYER and Alicia BAUMGARDNER. I don't remember what title that was for, or what title class that was for.
It's the Unified Junior Lightweight title.
Okay. Thoughts here on this fight? I know we've talked a little bit about it a few weeks ago. Michaela MAYER, Alicia BAUMGARDNER. Thoughts going into that one for you, or any sort of?
I think it's a great fight.
Yeah.
I've seen some training videos of Alicia BAUMGARDNER, and I'm like, I look at her, I'm like, this is by far going to be Michaela MAYER's toughest test to date. And I think that's what we want to
As it
see.
should
We
be.
want to see her in tough fights. Everybody does. And that's why, to be honest too, that's the only how women's boxing is going to get popular. And I say that, no dig on women's boxing, but to be honest, it's not mainstream still. It's not.
Sure.
It's getting better because of girls like Clarissa Shields and Michaela Mayer. However, how you're going to keep the audience captivated is fighting fights like this.
Great
that's
fights.
The only
that's
how
how UFC did it, and that's how they've now kind of cornered that female fighting market. They had a few names to capitalize on, and here we are. Now we have so many weight classes, and everyone knows people. So same thing here.
Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano, they put on a heck of a show at Madison Square Garden, right? So fights like that keep the audience captivated, okay? So we need that. So I would love to see this fight, actually, because Michaela Mayer is very talented. She's insanely talented. She's trained by Coach Al, who is one of the best trainers out there, amateur and pro. He's trained some gold medalists. He's trained some world champions. The guy can train people, okay? Coach Al Mitchell, he's up in Michigan, and who's been guiding Michaela Mayer. She can fight, but her biggest knock, just like Clarissa Shields she doesn't finish people.
The only
Biggest
two highlights you're going to see on wherever you're looking for highlights are of Michaela Mayer. The highlights, the ref should have jumped in. She's fighting just girls that shouldn't be in the ring. The ref should have jumped in on those fights earlier than they did, and she looks like she's pounding the tar out of them. But she's been in some wars too, where you're like, that shouldn't be a war. She shouldn't, like her last, I think, 2 fights, they should not have been as tough as they were, I don't think. Now, what she has, Weekend Trav, is the body frame again. So we talk about
Taller,
Sebastian Fundora,
longer.
tall, longer, not to the same degree, I should say, but she has this taller body, longer frame. So it is harder for girls to get inside with her and fight her on the inside because of her lankiness. And that's why the knock is when Alicia Baumgardner tries to trash talk with her is about Michaela Mayer making weight. Right? Because
bigger.
she's a bigger girl. She's a bigger girl. So I think a lot of it comes down to that. How much is she cutting leading up to that? And then can Baumgardner enforce and impose her will and have a fight that she wants against Michaela Mayer?
And you're exactly right. If I go over the strengths and the disadvantages, or the strengths for Michaela Mayer is she's a very good boxer. She's rangy. She's got long arms. And your Green Bay Packers won.
Gosh, thank God. In overtime. By a field goal in overtime.
B-Money's a huge Packers fan, as you couldn't tell by the Green Bay thing. They went into overtime. They finally won. Now B-Money can breathe.
I love Weekend Trav. I love this time of year because not only we talk boxing all year long, but I'm a huge football fan. I love football. It's my first sport love. But my teams, they rip my insides apart all year long. My college team, the Florida State Seminoles, they rip my guts out. The Packers rip my guts out. But I love it. I can't help it. I love it. I love it. So anyways,
it's
keep
that
on
girlfriend
going.
that keeps stringing you along.
Oh, absolutely. And you're just like
they just string you along.
Dripping morphine in my eye. Keep me going.
You say this to me as a lifelong Cowboys fan. They haven't won for 25 plus
but
years.
Look, hey man, they're looking good with their backup quarterback right now. They're winning games.
Listen, I am excited, but I'm not too excited for the same reasons why you're not. Because I'm waiting for my heart to get ripped out. Because Dak's coming back in a couple of weeks.
Well, here we've already fought a conference opponent first game and they blew us out. You haven't played the Eagles yet.
Who's very?
That's
turns out the NFC East is pretty tough this year.
Pretty tough this year.
It's been pretty weak for a while.
G-Men won again today as well. It's just the only.
We beat the G-Men though.
Oh, that's right. Last week you beat them.
Played them, yep.
But it's really the Commanders are the only ones that suck. So, anyways, back to Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgardner.
Who?
The Washington football team, WFT.
Oh, okay.
The WTFs.
Okay, I got you.
Whatever
WTF?
They are. Yeah.
You know what WTF is?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
What the fudge?
Okay, bleep that one out. But anyway, back to boxing. I was finished with it for the most part. But yes, Michaela Mayer, Alicia Baumgardner. Michaela Mayer has reach. She has range. She has boxing ability. She has boxing IQ. However, they've really been pushing this girl because they know it. The ratings know this, that finishing people. Right? So if she jumps into that battle with Alicia Baumgardner and tries to finish her or tries to get in a dogfight, doesn't fare well. Because I've seen Alicia Baumgardner. Her arms are shorter, which plays the part in when she's on the inside, she's gonna be better. She just is because Michaela Mayer has long arms. She's got a long reach. It's harder when you're in close to land those punches. So if Michaela Mayer, if she tries to go for these knockouts and tries to turn this into a dogfight, she loses.
Yeah.
She does. This needs to be a very, very well thought out fight where you just stay on the outside, you box, you move, you spinner, you box, you move, you spinner. If you have to dogfight for a second, do it, but then get the hell out of there.
But I think that's the way the fight's going to go. I think it's going to be Michaela Mayer's fight. It's going to be that strategy. It's going to be boring. And you know what? To credit for her, she's accurate. She is sharp.
Yeah, she's a pinpoint puncher.
There might not be a ton behind those punches, but she is sharp.
Yeah.
Okay, so when she's throwing a punch, it's going where she's intending for it
She
to
had
go.
a very good amateur career. Her coach, like I said, Al Mitchell, knows what he's doing. He knows what his game plan is. Very intelligent every single time. He's not a coach that will do a game plan based on the crowd.
And
he does it based on her.
for being a bigger girl or bigger person, I should say, she's hard to hit for whatever reason. She's elusive. So I would say if the fight will probably go that way, weekend Trav, where it's boring, it's not a dog fight. That obviously tilts in the favor of Michaela Mayer.
Yep.
More than likely, I'm going to call a decision victory there for Michaela Mayer.
But if it's emotional, and Alicia Baumgartner has been really good to get in the emotions of Michaela Mayer, because this has been kind of a fun trash talk. I think it's fun. You think it's corny. I think it's fun.
I don't think it's good.
The comebacks are fun.
Until you make fun of paychecks.
Yeah,
I don't like that.
I know. And as women boxing, Michaela Mayer, she referenced something to Baumgartner about pay, and Michaela Mayer is making more money. She is. They've latched onto her, top rank Bob Arum. They've latched onto her as a big money marketer, money seller. White girl, blonde hair, can fight. They're really putting a lot of money behind her, and she is making some pretty good money right now. She's probably making more than Baumgartner. Not probably. I know she is.
She is, definitely.
I know she is. So she referenced that fact. I don't like that. I don't. But at the same time, too, trash talking usually doesn't have any boundaries. When you're in boxing, we know a guy who is an awesome trash talker, Mike Perry.
Yeah, but you don't talk.
I love his trash talking.
You don't talk about mothers. Okay,
This is true.
You're not supposed to do that. And honestly, if you guys are doing the same thing for a paycheck, don't attack the man's pay or the woman's pay.
If you're
in
trying
this
to
case.
promote women's boxing, don't trash the pay, because if you're trashing the pay, then you're trashing women's boxing overall. Because then you're coming back and you're like, hey, I should be advocating for more money.
It's different if you're Floyd Mayweather flipping money in the crowd and Conor McGregor can do the same thing too, or you're making fun of taxes.
Different level.
That's different.
Different level.
But not making fun of having to wait to cash a check again and this and that. That's just disrespectful.
It was, but at the same time, like I said, Mike Perry, great trash talker.
Absolutely.
I feel like there's not many boundaries in his trash talking and his videos.
He's creative.
He's very creative. He can even trash talk when other guys are fighting.
Well, that's the thing. The thing with Mike is that there's a purpose behind it all. Okay, it sometimes might come out of left field, but he's thought about what he says. Yeah. Okay, he's very, very smart. It's almost like a rapper. Like they could flow, and it's like they don't even think, but they've practiced their craft too. They know they're ready. Right, so he knows. Anyways, that's a different topic. So that is on the 15th. Weekend Trav. What we do want to spend a little bit more time on today as well. Actually, we'll do next week, but let's highlight some stuff here. Local fight coming to us from Box Lab Promotions presents Championship Boxing at the Caribe Royale Orlando. That's on October 15th. That's going to be on Fight TV by Triller. So I think if you have the app or the website, you can pay for that one. I don't know how much it is, but you can take a look online. And it's a pretty interesting card, pretty fun-looking card here. Main event, fun-looking card. My fault, everybody. I shouldn't have called it a fun-looking card. Jeez, you know what? I blame the Puncher's Chance Bourbon on that one.
We are drinking bourbon today, Dale. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. And Dale, this is episode 99, not last week's. I just, I wanted to see who would notice. Anyways, so we have Kevin Brown in the main event for a WBA title fight of some sort.
He's 1-0. I'm just saying, his second fight.
Sometimes
he's
that's what it
fighting
takes.
for a title. He's 1-0.
Yeah,
fighting for. I love it.
We have a couple of local guys who we followed a bit on this show. We have Derek Diesel Jackson, 9-0.
Diesel.
He's fighting. We also have his brother also is fighting, Darius Jackson. We saw him on one of the last shows as well here in Orlando. Giovanni Estella, 9-0 as well. He's fighting, and then obviously Adrian Pinheiro, 9-0 as well. It's all coincidental that they're all 9-0.
It's funny though, but they're all 9-0.
But he is fighting as well. So it's going to be a jam-packed card, and the reason why we're not going to spend a ton of time on it now is that next week on episode 100, we will spend a little bit more time on this show and the promotion, because these are cool fights. These are fights that you want to watch, especially if you're local in the Central Florida area, in the Orlando area. Get your ticket to this event. Box Lab Promotions. I think GH3 Promotions is on this thing too.
Warriors Boxing, I think, is part of it as well.
Yeah, it's going to be a well-promoted card. It's going to be a great, solid event. I know Weekend Trav, you will be there. I will be there. I will be out of town with my family on family vacation, Griswold style, driving up to the Boston area and back.
Boston, Mass.
Yeah, so pray for me, everybody. So I will not be there. However, I'm sure I'll be texting Weekend Trav the whole time. What's going on? What's going on? Did Diesel knock him out? Did Adrian? Okay, so
yeah, I'm going to be there supporting live, and I'm bringing actually some new people with me too this time.
New blood.
We've also, some of my friends bought a whole table by themselves, a whole table plus A couple
that.
people are coming with me on a different seating part. So
Wow,
like,
see?
hey guys, I'm promoting you guys. Box Labs, keep producing good, talented local fighters.
And
Like
I
we've
was-
always said.
And I will say it again, Weekend Trav. We talk about these shows not because we're getting any sort of compensation, not because we're getting any sort of special treatment. We're not. We pay for it. We are boxing fans at the heart of this thing.
We are.
We love seeing our friends do well, whether it's in the boxing world or the MMA world. We mentioned Mike Perry sometimes. We have Alex Nicholson. He just went over to Russia. He lost a fight out there.
Tough one.
Tough one, yeah, for sure. But other fighters and friends in those different arenas, and we support that. We want to make sure that we are at least being a springboard for some of these guys, if we can, for whatever audience we have, that we can at least promote you guys the best as possible. So I don't want anyone to think that the guys over at Box Lab or anywhere else are. They're not.
They're not greasing the wheels over here.
No,
guys. They're
no.
not. They do treat us. They do treat us well because they treat everybody well. They do.
Absolutely.
But we're big fans. We like to promote boxing, even though this is a boxing podcast. We promote combat sports in general because we do talk about bare knuckle boxing. We do talk about UFC. We talk about MMA.
Yep.
But mostly, yes, we talk about boxing. And I love local boxing because I know what it's like being a professional
It's
boxer
fun.
myself, building a career.
And
And these guys are building professional boxing careers. And I love it.
You were just in Missouri and you went to a show as well while you were out
Amateur
there, right?
boxing, I did.
Give us like a minute or two on that.
That was cool, man. Amateur boxing is where it starts. And to be fair, I think here's how you can judge how popular sports are right now. You can judge it by the amateur level. And what I mean by that is the amateur level of boxing 10, 15 years ago was not really popular, was not big. It was kind of falling off.
Sure.
In my little local city, St. Joseph, Missouri, population 75,000 there, which is it's small compared to a lot of places they talk about. But we went there. There was a sold-out arena. It was small, but it was still a sold-out arena of amateur boxing matches. They were all amateur fighters, and it was huge. There's a couple new gyms in St. Joe, Missouri now, Johnson Brothers Boxing and BENN Boxing. Give you guys a little bit of love here. But I was back for a funeral for unfortunate reasons, but I happened to find out that there was a boxing match. It's been one of the first boxing matches, amateur boxing matches in St. Joe for some years now. Mm-hmm. And the fact that I saw that and it was sold out, I was having a conversation with the club that put it on, and I was like, guys, boxing is obviously popular again. I promoted 3 professional boxing match shows back in St. Joseph, Missouri. When COVID hit, nothing happened, obviously, so I didn't. But I'm thinking about going back there and doing it again because there is a market for it. The fans are obviously craving boxing because they were there and they came out in droves to support amateur boxing. And the reason why I say amateur boxing is a good prelude to professional boxing is there was tons of fans there, which means all of these kids are seeing these professional boxers on TV and they're like, I want to be that. So it comes from the amateur boxing circuit. You build positive fundamentals and all of that there, and then you get to the pro level. That's good pros to me. So when there's a good USA Boxing sanctioned fights, it makes pro boxing better too. Because sometimes you go to pro shows, you've been there. Some of those pros you see, you're just like, how is this guy pro?
Yeah.
But now that we have some good amateur fighters coming up, I think it's going to add to the competitive level. It's going to make everybody better.
Well, I think you got a lot of good organizations out there that are strictly sticking to the amateur ranks. You got like the Sugarbirds and things like that, and they do a good job regionally all over the place. Yeah. So that helps a lot. It's almost like the feeder program. Like in baseball, you have the minor leagues, and you have all these clubs. That helps.
You got to have solid feeder programs.
You know, and as much as I dislike how once you get to the professional ranks, things are so split, all these different titles, whatever else. And in reality, when you're an amateur, that to me also looks like a pretty big open door, because that tells me if I'm looking to try to be a professional, I have more avenues of doing it. Whereas if you're a football player, there's only one NFL. Okay, and when you look at the percentage of what it takes from a high school kid to be an NFL player, small. Yep. Which is its own drive and own determinational factor. But boxing, there's just a lot more accessibility to it, and it doesn't mean that it's always going to be the cream of the crop rising, but eventually it does.
Yeah.
Eventually the professional routes, or the professional ranks, screen that crap out.
The cool thing is, so now we're talking about women boxing, I meant to say this and I failed, but there was more women's younger amateur boxing matches that I've seen on a local show ever, live ever. There was I really couldn't believe it. And I'm talking about like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14-year-old
That's
girls
great. Yeah.
fighting. And it was pretty refreshing to see it, because I do think that the pros are very indicative of what happens in the amateurs, because these girls have to look up to somebody. So they're looking up to girls like Clarissa Shields. They're looking up to girls like Michaela MAYER, Savannah Marshall. So we need that. It's the feeder program, but also they need somebody to look up to
Absolutely.
fight, right? So
Absolutely.
I think we have that building, which to me, if we have the amateurs now, we do have some long-lasting ability in boxing still, where we have years and years and years of productivity and ratings and all that. I hope that when we finish off who we have right now, like the likes of there's a lot of big-time people out there now. Canelo Alvarez, he's going to eventually retire.
Yep.
Soon, probably. But we need a new crop coming up.
Yep, I think we have that for sure.
The amateurs are way away from that, obviously, but we do have a younger crop of like the Devin Haney's, the Tank Davis, the Ryan Garcia.
I think there's definitely a bit of a gap between those guys and the
There's
amateur
a big
ranks.
one, yes. There's 5-10 years gap there.
What's hurt that is the Olympics and their decisions there on what they've done.
They're so corrupt.
It's so terrible. So that's hurt, I should say, but it hasn't derailed everything.
Yeah,
but I think there is going to be kind of a gap there when these kids start to get older and go into there might not be amateurs for that long, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I think the amateur boxing, USA Boxing, is the amateur boxing program in America, obviously USA Boxing. But we all need to get together on the international scene, and the international scene, I believe, is AIBA, which is the sanctioning body of the Olympics. And right now, they're in a big tussle because the next Olympics, I believe, not the next Olympics, I think the one after that, they're going to eliminate boxing unless there's some major changes done. And I think it's going to happen. I do, because I don't see them. I mean, boxing has been in the Olympics since I can remember. I watched when I was growing up. The reason why I boxed and the reason why I looked up was Oscar De La Hoya in the Olympics.
But we can Trav, it doesn't matter, because the one year they took away Greco-Roman wrestling. That was like the original Olympic sport.
Greco-Roman,
back when there
Roman
were actual
days.
Olympics.
It's the Roman days.
So I can't remember even if they've brought it back, I don't even know. But they took that. That's empty, bro.
We finished.
Anyways, we digress. So let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. We are drinking, once again, kind of the rewind here, Puncher's Chance Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey. We just finally finished this bottle. I'm going to be... Honestly, Weekend Trap, there's a lot of different variations of this. I think this is the standard version of Puncher's Chance. It's very good. I like this.
You liked it. You did.
I did like it. And I'm glad we had some because we finished it here on episode 99. So the Puncher's Chance. And we have a few more to finish eventually. But that's what we're drinking today. No rating.
It was okay.
No rating necessary.
It's not perfect for my palate.
But you know what gets me?
Different palates.
It gets me is the damn tiger and all that stuff on the bottle. Let me put it on your camera. Look at that guy.
And it's Puncher's Chance.
Puncher's Chance.
How could that not be on a boxing podcast?
Pretty solid. I think Bruce Buffer reps that too. Anyways, so let's wrap this thing up. This episode 99, the real episode 99, I should say.
The real.
Of Weighing In with Travis Harmon. See what happens when he interrupts me? I get my.
He did it to me all day today.
I get tongue-tied. Anyway, so that's a rundown of the next 2 weekends of boxing matchups. Next week is episode 100. We'll spend a little time on some of these things coming up that weekend, but we at least wanted to address it to the audience and the subscribers and blah, blah, blah. If you're yet to subscribe, please do so below on YouTube or on Rumble or on Spotify, wherever we are.
We're everywhere.
Please do so. It helps us, and we appreciate the support, obviously, and like the video. Push it out to your friends and family, and say, hey, look at these two guys who think they know what they're talking about. That is us. For 99 damn episodes.
99. We're about to hit the century mark.
100. So we got some special things we're going to do on the 100th episode, or at least we're game planning that, folks. So stick with us at least through that one, as that will drop next week. But this is the wrap-up of this show. Weekend Trap, final thoughts, and then we'll call it a day.
No, I mean, I appreciate everybody listening to us. But honestly, if you like us enough, give us a like, give us a share. Don't be bashful. We love that. We need that. I mean, that's how we grow. We're growing because of our listeners and our subscribers. And to be positive, we get new likes, new listeners, new subscribers every week.
Yeah.
We do, even if it's only one. But we're getting new subscribers
every week. And we appreciate
every
y'all.
week.
We don't take it for granted.
We don't at all. We appreciate
Listen, we do this for fun. We're not compensated yet. But if anyone wants to send us a bourbon of choice or whatever, we're more than happy to accept it. So anyways, Weekend Trav, that is it. This is episode 99, putting the bow on it. And I'm just going to go ahead and say that over there is Weekend Trav.
That there is B Money, a.k.a. producer, a.k.a. Green Bay Packers fan.
Go Pack Go. They've won, thank God.
Go Cowboys.
God bless.